Welcome to Surpass Community Webinar with myself, Tim Burnett, and Holly Nicole. And Holly, do you want to talk us through what you're going to be taking us through today?
Yeah, so there's lots of new features going into this release. So we've got some enhancements to tasks. So we've got a brand new task type that's called an authoring task type. And we've also got enhancements to the review task type as well. It's called track changes. So I'll be demoing both of those. I'll go through those. We've also got some enhancements to item authoring, so some improvements to the item search and item lists functionality. We've got another feature called inline comments as well. We've also got some stuff on HTML support. So we've got a brand new unified key code screen that's in Secure Client. I'll explain all there is to know about that. We can also now import items to HTML subjects, and there's also some HTML support for a few question types. So I'll go through all of that. And lastly, we've got some terminology enhancements. So that's everything.
Excellent. So it's going to be a jam-packed experience. We'll start with tasks. At any point you want to ask us any questions about anything, then please do use the Q&A feature. Let us know and we'll try our best to answer them as we go on. If not, we'll get back to you later. So tasks, you're going to give a bit of an overview. So we talked about it quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah. So tasks is quite a big thing. So just to refresh your memories, tasks are used to manage your team's workloads directly into Surpass. So users can be assigned jobs and progress can be tracked in the system as well. So we've got three main task types, the first two being general and review. So general is more administrative. You can create to-do lists in there, whereas a review task type it basically allows you and your team to review an item list on an item by item basis, and you can vote for further action on those items if needs be. We do have quite a big enhancements to the review task type. Part of that is still in development. But we now have what we call a single copy and a multiple copy review. So a single copy is currently what the review task is now. It's what it always has been. It's the current behaviour. So we've got numerous assignees working on one item, one by one, and they can see each other's changes. Whereas a multiple copy review task, which is what's currently in development, allows numerous assignees to work on an item at the same time, but each assignee can't see each other's changes. So that's the main enhancement to review tasks, this feature.
And I think it's really useful if you do want to know a bit more about it and get some real contextual information, then IB did a fantastic presentation at the Surpass conference, and there were a few other customer presentations as well, but just to kind of understand how it really is making a difference. Gone are the days where everyone had free-for-all access within projects. Yes, you might have been restricted by your workflow status, but you could see everything at some point during that. Tasks really does take that away, so it gives you a lot more security around it. Mm-hmm. So you're going to talk through some of the latest features which are in tasks then this time?
Yep. So like I said, we've got general, review, and now I've got a nice third task type, which is called an authoring task. So the difference here with an authoring task is you can assign your team a list of blank or partially pre-filled items to then go ahead and let your users add content and fill them up.
Okay. Do you want to take us on a tour then?
So one thing to know before I start as well, there's also what we call a lead assignee as part of an authoring task as well. So basically, this lead assignee is in charge of this particular task. They're in charge of the task itself, the assignees. They actually monitor the entire task. So you've got your lead assignees and then your other users who will be working as part of this task as well. So I'll just show you how to create an authoring task. It is kind of similar to a review task in that you need an item list, but the main difference with this is that you need to assign your authors, your item authors, your users as owners of particular items.
Okay.
So I'll go through the process from the beginning. So basically, there's quite a few steps to creating an authoring task. But first, if you're working within your subject, press the Create New Item button, and you've got an Import Items from Other Sources button here. So this is where you can upload your external spreadsheet. So I'll show you how to do that. So I've got one already created here. So I'll just zoom in slightly just so you can see it a bit better. But as I mentioned earlier, the premise of an authoring task is to assign users with blank or partially pre-filled items. Okay. So in your spreadsheet, all you would do is type in what we would call an authoring item shell. So you'd input temporary question text and temporary answer options. But the main difference with this spreadsheet here is that you've also got your item owner as well. So as you can see, before I've even created the task, I know exactly who I'm giving these items to. I know exactly which items I want my users to be working on. So I've got 3 authoring assignees here, and I've assigned them 3 items to work on each. So all I would do is go back into this here, import my spreadsheet, find it in my system, authoring task spreadsheet, open that, and it will simply import my items. And there you go, it tells you that 9 items have been successfully imported. So it puts those into a nice, easy folder for you there.
Okay.
So that's step 1. Step 2 is adding those items to an item list. So I'll show you how to do that. So I've done this in advance, but all you would do is I'll go into item search and show you exactly how I did that. So basically you gave each item a name. So as you can see, I've called them authoring task demo item.
Yep.
You just simply search for them, authoring task demo. Let's hope they appear. They should appear.
Always systems. It was
Oh
waking
yeah,
up, yeah,
always. We'll go into my item list. But this is the list that I previously created anyway.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's the exact same item shells that I specified in my spreadsheet. Gives you the name of each item, the subject they're associated with, and what status they're at as
Okay,
well.
that's all the stuff that's come from the import spreadsheet. Yeah?
Exactly.
All the data, yep.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. So they're all in the system now. So I'll go on to the next step. So this is where we would create our task. So it's quite a lot, but if you remember to do those steps, then you'll be fine once you get to this point here.
Yeah.
So once you've done all that, you've imported your spreadsheet and you've made an item list from the items that you've put in there. Then you would go into the Tasks tab, press Authoring, press Continue, and it will take you to the Create Authoring Task dialog. Already got that set up for you. So I've called it Authoring Task Demo 19, given it a reference, given it a description. If I go on to the next setting, I've chosen that specific list that I specified earlier, the one that I uploaded from a spreadsheet.
Yep.
Associate it to a parent subject, and because I want my users to go in there and make changes and essentially, review these items, add content to them, I've put my status as to review.
Okay.
But you do have a list of options to choose from.
Yeah.
Next, you've got your task users. So Surpass automatically generates these users. So from the spreadsheet that I imported earlier, it knows that it needs to assign authoring assignee 1 with 3 items,
Yep.
second assignee 2 with 3, and third assignee with 3 as well.
Okay.
I can also assign my lead assignee at this stage as well. So it gives you a long list of people who are currently in the system. So if I find the specific one that I want, I can add them to it. So it's that one there. And then there you go. So you've got your lead assignee, your 3 users, and 3 items that they will be expected to work on and add content to.
Excellent, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you've done that, press Create Task. And I've already got that ready for you. Just a second. So imagine I am authoring assignee 1. So I'm the first user who has been given 3 items to work on. So all I would do is I would go into my Surpass system, go into tasks, and it would populate here exactly what task I was given.
And that person's kind of restricted by what they see. So when they log in, all they're seeing is tasks, and they're met straight away with what they need to do.
Exactly. So whatever task they have been assigned, that's the only thing that they'll see in this system here.
Excellent.
So to go ahead and work on those items, all I would need to do is press Open Task.
And that would launch up the task for straight into the authoring wizard environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as a user, this is the interface that I would see here. It's very similar to item authoring. The only difference is you cannot see different statuses.
Yeah.
So everything works the exact same. So I'll go ahead and make my changes here. So I can do in what year did William Shakespeare, God, I can't spell, Shakespeare die? So then I would go and fill in all these different answer options. So for example, I'll do just some random ones. Testing my Shakespeare knowledge, 1640. And I'll do let's do a random one, 1850. So I've made those changes. Oh, wrong one. What am I doing? And I can see, so I've put my changes in. If I go on the advanced toggle, I can just see I've put all I need to put in, so that's absolutely fine. I'll save that. Yep, and then I will close this one, and I'll go in as the second authoring assignee. So I'll just log out quickly, go in as authoring lead assignee. And as the lead assignee, you'll be able to go in there and see the changes that that first user has made.
Okay.
So again, I'll go into the tasks tab, find the specific task that I've assigned, open task, and you've got this drop down here. So now as lead assignee, I can toggle between different assignees. So I know that authoring assignee 1 has made some changes. I can see their changes here. If I wanted to change anything, then I can do so here. So I could go in and put this as something a bit more realistic. And then once I'm happy with that, I can save it. And then as a lead assignee, I can go ahead and submit that item. And basically all that means is I'm happy with this item, I'm happy with what the user has done here, and that's submitted and ready to go.
Okay, so a nice little team leader kind of structure for task and orientation there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so in terms of authoring tasks, is that everything we want to cover on that?
Yeah, that's more or less everything.
Okay, so track changes, text changes, then next.
So track changes, they're an enhancement to the review task. So basically, additions and deletions that are made by different users, they are highlighted in different colours, so they're colour coded.
So it's just like Word, really, isn't it? Just like you would expect.
It works very similar, yeah. So basically, as the task manager, I can go in, kind of similar. There's different users working on items, but as a manager of that task, I can go in there, and then obviously according to what colour is within the item, I will know exactly which user has made an edit, at what time, at what date, etc. And then I can make the final decision on that item.
Okay, so how would that compare with version compare? Because that's another feature.
So track text changes, I would say it's a bit more interactive than version compare. So in version compare, you've got your items side by side on the screen. You can see the changes that have been made to the original item. You can see all the different edits that have been made. Those are clearly highlighted for you. But as part of track text changes, you can action those changes. So you can reject them or you can disapprove them completely. So you don't need to take those users' edits into account. You can completely dismiss them, or you might absolutely love the changes that they've made and just action them and approve them all.
Excellent. So, okay. Right. Brilliant.
But I will show you how to do so. So again, into your tasks tab, go to create task, and you'll see this dialog here. So again, I've already pre-filled out all this information, but you've got a review task example as the name and reference, your description, and your start and end date. If I go on to settings, this is assuming that you have already created your list that you want your item authors to review. So again, just do it in the exact same way as I did before. Item authoring, item search, find all your criteria and it will populate all your items in there.
Okay.
Choose that item list. So I've chosen an authoring task list, and the parent subject is release documentation. But one thing that you must remember when enabling track text changes is item editing has to be enabled first, and then you'll be able to enable track changes. So that just allows track text changes to happen, basically.
Okay.
Yep. So if we go on to the next stage, it's obviously doesn't work exactly like an authoring task. So we imported a spreadsheet before. So that spreadsheet automatically populated this box here, so it knew exactly which users were going in there, and it knew exactly how many items each user needed to edit. Whereas here I manually assign each user, and I also can manually assign a lead assignee as well. So once you're happy with that, press create task. And then I'll just get that ready for you. So I'll show you exactly how that looks. I'll log in as the first review assignee. just so that you can see exactly how it looks in the system, just to a user who's playing around in it. So again, go straight into tasks. Works the exact same. As a user who has only been assigned 1 or 2 tasks, they're the only thing that I'll see in this interface here. Holly's webinar demo, open task, and here you go. I've got my item list here, so I'll pick item number 12. And then all you need to do is, as the user, so you can see the question here in a preview format, go into edit item. Give it a second to load. Again, similar format to item authoring, but all I would do as a user, I would look at this item and I might think something might need changing. So for example, I might want to change this Quebec to something else. So there we go, there we go. So as you can see, as I'm the first review assignee, I've deleted that answer option out of the table there.
Yep.
So as you can ever so slightly see, it's highlighted my changes in a green sort of colour. So when the task manager or the lead assignee of this task goes in there, then they'll know exactly that they're my changes. They know that it's, you know, my green colour.
Yep.
If they hover over that, they'll be able to see that it's been deleted by first review assignee. The first edit being on the 22nd of January.
Okay.
So it's very specific. It tells you exactly what that user's done in the system.
So it's a nice audit trail there.
Yeah, exactly. So to actually be able to see that at all, you have this button here. So that just means hide track changes. If I pressed off that, then you can see the word has been completely deleted.
Yeah.
If I pressed on it again, you can
So very similar to what people would be familiar with in Word, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So if I just save that, so if I go back to that same item, so my first user was working on item 12. As the lead, I'll then go into the item, press edit item. Wait for it to load. And as you can see, I can see that the changes have been made by first review assignee. So I can see the same interface. I can see exactly what they're seeing.
Yep.
But the only difference here is I have different toggles to choose from. So I can accept all changes. So for example, if that user has made multiple changes across the item, I could press that button and it would easily just accept them all.
Yep.
Or I could press this one here, so accept the change just on a change by change basis. But then on the flip side, I can also reject them all as well.
Okay.
So if I don't agree with that, I think Toronto should be there, I would press this one here, reject change. It would revert back to how it was originally. I'd save it. And then as the lead assignee, I can make the final decision on this item. You can see here the decision button is available for me to select. And if I'm 100% happy with this item, all I would do is press decision, approve. I could write a comment in there if I wanted to. So this is a great item. And I could change the status here as well. Okay. So just press confirm. And then that's it.
Decision approved.
Yeah, so that's the bulk of track text changes, basically.
Okay, so plenty to have a go at there, really,
Yeah.
with the next release coming up. So
lots.
Enjoy. I was going to say fill your boots, but I won't do. Right, so we're moving on to item authoring next. Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So what have we got in item authoring?
I've got it up on my screen here already. So we've got some improvements to the item search and item lists functionality. So essentially they've been improved to allow greater flexibility when creating an item list from an item search. So if I just show you exactly how it works now, we're in the item authoring tab and we're in item search. So I've already created an item search for you, but I'll just go through each new filter. So essentially now we've got a wider range of search criteria. So if you're looking for a very specific item, we've really made it easy for you to find that item. Okay. So you can narrow it down by all of these different search criteria. So I've chosen name, and this is a free text box here. So I specifically search for geography questions. If I want to narrow it down even further, I can press this plus icon here and I can add a second layer of search criteria. So for this specific example, I've chosen subject.
So it's multiple layering of filters, really, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And I've chosen BTL documentation, but obviously it gives you access to all the subjects that you have access to. And yep, so if I wanted to refine that down even more, I'd simply just press the plus icon. So once I've done that, I've pressed search, and the table has populated with all the available items that fit my search. So we've got the name of the item here. Obviously you can see with this logo that it's a multiple choice question. The subject, whether it's at live or draft status, for example.
Yep.
And we've got lots of other search criteria in there as well. For example, who it was created by and the marking type. So what has been enhanced with this feature? So now we've got these customizable columns on the left-hand side. So as you can see, these columns here are currently the columns that are applied to your table. So if you were to press the crossed out eye icon, which I'll find for you here, basically that currently means that this column is hidden from your table. If you wanted to make it visible, press the eye icon and press apply. And it would just change your search criteria so you'd be able to see when it was created at.
Okay.
Again, on the flip side, if you wanted to make a column hidden, then you would just press this eye icon here. So if I wanted to remove the name, if I wanted to move the center from my table, again, I'd just press apply and you can see that it's removed.
Okay, so nice, easy toggling on and off of data so you can organise it in a way that you want to see it, isn't it, really? So,
exactly,
perfect.
Yeah. You can apply lots of different filters as well. So if you press this filter icon here, this basically filters on individual columns that you've got applied to your table.
But you're not changing your search criteria.
You're not changing your search criteria, yeah. So this just filters on what you've already got in your search. So for example, if I wanted to narrow it down even further, I could change it to last edited at. I could put in a specific date, and that would just, I could find something super easy and it would narrow it down even further. So there you go, you can see that I've only got about 6 or 7 items there.
So these features are really handy for people who've got lots of data associated with lots of items, or even just a small bunch of really complicated items as well, complex items and data. So really quite nice ways of finding your way through your item banks, really, aren't they?
Exactly.
Excellent. Good.
Just one last thing. Once you've added those your item search to an item list, you will see this same interface and you can still define it even further. So once your item list is created, don't worry about having to make one again from scratch. You can still filter on it.
Okay. And what happens if you create new items then which match the same criteria as that list? So you searched on geography, you create a new item which has got a meta tag geography. Was that automatically get added into that list, or were you working with a defined list?
Yeah, so you're working with a defined list. If you wanted to, well, if you created an item that matched the same search criteria, it wouldn't automatically go into your already created item list, but you can add items to existing lists. Excellent. So you would have to go in and add it to that.
But that's a good thing, because you define your list, you define your items, you don't want other items suddenly finding their way in there, do you? So excellent. That's great. Okay.
Exactly.
Right, so that's item list and item search.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, so next we've got inline comments. So this is a nice new feature. It essentially allows you to add a comment in line with text, and that works in both item authoring and tasks. So I'll show you how to do so. So the premise behind this feature is to make it easier for users to communicate with each other within Surpass. So if I was user 1, I'd created this question and I wasn't 100% sure if this question was good enough. All I would do I'd put my cursor on this specific place I want the comment to appear.
Yep.
I'd go into the advanced toggle. And as you can see, we've got a nice new blue pin button there.
Okay.
I'd press that and it launches an inline comments panel just on the right-hand side of the screen. So I could put in any kind of comment here. So I could be asking for advice on something. So in a timed section test, should this be in bold? Just anything like that, anything that you want to communicate with a different user. Once you're happy with your comment, press comment, and that appears on the right hand side, and then if a different user was to go in to this particular item, they would see my comment there.
Okay, so inline comments, not to be confused with inline feedback, which is all about the formative side of things. Be interested to see what people's reactions are about the little blue pin icon.
Yeah.
Let us know about that one. I'm intrigued about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a really handy feature of giving granular feedback on items.
Yeah, and this works within both mixed and HTML subjects.
Excellent.
As well.
Excellent. Okay, item authoring, we are done?
Yeah, I think that's about everything for that.
We've got one question that's come in, which is, can your software handle all languages, including right to left? So obviously someone who's kind of new to Surpass in that sense, but yes, it can. We have Arabic setups if that's one area you're particularly looking at. But yeah, if you want to know more, I'll drop you a line and we can have a further chat about your exact needs on there. So yes, that is something that we do support, and that includes the navigation and delivery of the test as well. So it will swap the buttons around next and back, etc. Okay, so HTML support is the next area. So we're doing a lot of work. Flash was obviously quite a core part of our product, and as we move towards stronger HTML support and move towards the point in which Flash no longer is part of our product, we're continuing to enhance parts of the product to support HTML. Well, basically migrate a lot of the features over. So do you want to talk us through what we've done recently for this?
Yep, so I think the first thing on there is the unified keycode screen. So this is a really exciting feature. This makes a lot of people's lives a lot easier, I would say. So just to put it simply, there's now an easy way to take tests in both Flash and HTML delivery. So when you launch Secure Client, this is a secure client thing, you'll see a keycode screen. This is now a unified keycode screen. So even if you put in a Flash or a HTML keycode, the driver will simply switch and you can deliver either Flash or HTML just within that one application. So you won't have to download a separate HTML secure client if you want to deliver a HTML test. It can all be done within one secure client.
So this is, in a way, this is for people that who've been using Surpass for a long time and who have a lot of Flash content that's been around for a while. So we've had the web browser-based delivery for HTML for a while now, and this secure client is the downloadable lockdown client that you install on the candidate's machines. It's an auto-updating client and means that a candidate can't interact with any non-approved other applications as part of their test. So it's just convenience really, isn't it, now that any key code you put in there, test will work
that's
fine.
it. Yep.
Excellent.
It does automatically load by default in Flash, but if you were to go ahead and put a HTML keycode in there, the driver would just simply switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Next up, then we've got HTML support for hotspot and voice capture questions.
You're a bit ahead of me, Tim.
Sorry, I've run ahead. Let's go back.
Just one extra one that we've got for, just related to HTML stuff. So we've got importing items to HTML subjects.
Yes. Apologies.
That's a good one, don't forget about that. So basically, now you can import items from external files into HTML subjects. So it's just a nice, quick way of importing a large amount of items into a subject. So when you're working within a HTML subject, all you do is go into the Create New Item button and then choose Import Items from other sources. So similar to how we've started the authoring task. Again, choose a spreadsheet, but if you're unsure on how to fill in that spreadsheet, you could download a sample XLS there and it would just give you information on how to input everything that you would need in there. So I'll press import and I've got one ready. So I've got all of my items that I want to be in my HTML subject. Press open, they'll import eventually, and then all it does, it just lets you know that they've been successful and it puts them in a nice folder for you, nice and neat.
Excellent. And is there any additional information as part of the import there? Is there new fields or?
So in the spreadsheet, similar to the authoring task type, we've also got an item owner column as well. So it does work quite similar in that if you want to assign a specific user to an item, you can do so in there.
Excellent, excellent. Now we've had a question about the timeline for Flash on there. We'll do an update with that because the Flash will continue to be part of the product for some customers who will continue to have items which will stay in service. So we'll just keep an eye on that and we'll give you a bit more of an update coming through. I think there'll be further updates, certainly at the conference later in October, but I'll have a chat with our team who are working on that and see if we can provide through some further information on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so now can we talk about
We can now.
hotspots? Okay, so hotspots first?
Yeah, okay, so we have made some improvements to a lot of HTML stuff. We've converted over the hotspot and voice capture question type. They are now compatible with HTML delivery. And there's also a couple of other enhancements that we've made to those question types as well. I'll go on to voice capture first. So as you can see, before this release, you could only record for up to 5 minutes. We've increased that to 60. So obviously that's really helpful if you want your candidate to have, a much longer time to record.
Or if it's, I think some of the use case around that is things like doing language testing, isn't it? And or even music exams as well, if you want to play a piece of music as part of the process.
Exactly. I
hear that there's a rapidly running out of tape cassettes at schools, which is causing a problem with some exam boards. So things.
This will be really helpful.
Yeah, it'll be really handy for that. Okay.
Yeah. Next one, just quickly, hotspots also changed slightly. So you have your rectangle and polygon shape. So if I was to choose polygon and I wanted to put in a specific area, so I've drawn up all my points, all I can do now, instead of having to draw a new batch of points, I can simply move my shape around the image. Whereas before, you'd have to redefine your points and start from fresh, basically. But now I can just simply move it around the image.
So certainly handy if you've got a particularly defined area and you do change out the graphic.
Definitely,
it just saves you a bit of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's nice and easy.
Excellent. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about. Let's talk about extended matching. I think, isn't it? Next one.
Yeah. So again, the extended matching question type has been converted over to HTML. So that's now. You can now deliver that in a HTML test. But there have been some enhancements to the marking of this question type as well. So if I go into this additional options cog here, you can see that we've got standard and weighted marking, and we now have the additional option to enable many-to-many marking selections. And this option just simply allows you to set weighted marks for multiple links. So candidates will be awarded for the combination of links that they create. So just to put this into context, it's mainly used for situational judgment tests.
Yeah.
So if I go into preview, I'll just show you what that would look like. And usually it's if a candidate is being asked what could be the most effective and least effective scenario, basically. So you can see on the left-hand side here, we've got 4 different options. You've got whether or not they're most or least effective, and it's up to the candidate to create links between each one of these, and they'll be awarded on the links that they create.
Okay, and then it's worth noting on there that preview gives you the mark scores as well, so you can see that changing when you're checking that.
It does.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one more thing about this. We've also added a scissor icon. So as part of HTML, it looks really nice now. So if a candidate accidentally joined 2 boxes up and they didn't mean to, all they would do is hover over the line, press the scissor icon, and it disappears.
Excellent. So they can cut that link between the two.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Right. So we mentioned voice capture. I heard a rumour on the street about the name of that. Is that going to change at some point?
Yep, so there's a lot of development going into voice capture. That will be quite a big thing in 12.18, so the next release. Don't want to maybe ruin the surprise.
Okay, so it might be a name change coming up there, but there have been a few terminology changes, haven't there, in this release?
Yeah. So there is a full article of all these changes that'll be available on the knowledge base. But we have just gone through the system basically just to ensure consistency and accuracy, just to make sure that everything within the system is perfect and all kind of aligns with each other. So for example, you can see that we've changed a rescoring event to a rescoring session. That just ties nicely with what we call a test session. So just for consistency's sake.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying that at all times we're looking for feedback on these. So if there are any of the names which are used within the platform, any kind of labels, etc., that you do think might be confusing, then let us know. We do work with multiple sectors in multiple countries who call things different stuff, really. So keep us posted if there's something that you have have any trouble with, and we can add that into our thinking process. I've got one quick question to ask. Is HTML validated on import and errors highlighted as part of the import?
In which, for the import to HTML
item
subjects?
Yeah. That's the...
So if there was any errors within that import, it would tell you, and you could download a report and it would just go through what exactly were wrong with those items.
And I think it's worth mentioning, that's the import of the spreadsheet, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all the items within there. There's no actual kind of HTML that goes, there's no H1 tags or bold or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's all the actual information. So if there was something wrong with that information as part of creating that item, then it would highlight those.
It would tell you, you would download the report and it would just specify exactly what was wrong.
Yeah, so I think it's not checking, it's not doing some kind of check on the HTML code per se. Okay, so when can we expect all these wonderful new features?
I'd say by the end of this month, the release will be out.
Don't hold us to that. We always try to ensure quality as things come out. So if there is something that is amiss before we do a release, we don't want to push that out. Also, other things, the factors come into major examination series and things like that. So we just need to bear that in mind. But keep an eye out. Look out for there'll be a release email that'll come out from your team.
Yep, we've
knowledge
prepared
base.
that.
Yeah, knowledge base will be updated. So there'll be lots of information. And get in touch if there's questions you have about these things. Just one notice to note really for anyone who uses the APIs or knows about the APIs. API version 1 will be retired as part of the 12.18 release. Now, I am hoping that everyone's had a conversation with the account manager. I'm sure they have. I know a lot of account managers have had those conversations and people have moved over to the later versions. But just really to flag it, if there's anyone else that's still looking at API version 1, then please do get in touch with the account manager if you need more information. But that's one just to flag. Yep. So I think excellent, really jam-packed release coming up. Feed us back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time today. Just a reminder of those events. So if we're going to be around, we'll see you in Orlando, which will be a fantastic event to see you at. We'll be back with a webinar. There will be another webinar in March, but I'm just finalising the details. Hopefully we'll be talking about adaptive testing as part of that, but I don't have a date as of yet for that. But if not, if you're in the UK and want to come see us, then the e-assessment question conference is the place to be. Thank you very much for your time today. Thank you very much, Holly.
Thank you.
Thank you for the team for all their work in editing this, and we'll see you soon. Thank you and goodbye.